Recently, DEFRA's Waste PFI programme has been the major driver in developing new waste infrastructure. But we're now in far more uncertain times. The global banking crisis, recession, record levels of public debt, and the collapse of government revenues place unprecedented constraints on future public spending. We've already seen that the increasingly difficult financial markets have affected delivery of waste PFI programmes, with several authorities, including North Yorkshire, Wakefield, Greater Manchester and Cumbria, all admitting that this has been a significant factor in delaying the signing of contracts. Norfolk recently abandoned its procurement, stating that the financial environment had rendered their preferred option of mechanical biological treatment followed by energy recovery simply unaffordable. Given political commitments to safeguard spending in priority areas like health and education, other areas of spending will come under intense pressure. Earlier this year, for example, the Institute of Fiscal Studies forecast that departments like DEFRA could face real-term spending reductions of as much as 4.5% a year through to at least 2017, and this depends on the level of safeguarding that's afforded to the NHS. This will have profound consequences for public sector waste procurement. In England and Wales, local authorities already spend about £4.5 billion a year on waste management, and this roughly equates to £1 in every 3 that they raise through council tax. In circumstances where the total funding pot is likely to decline, questions will be asked about whether such levels of expenditure are justifiable, especially if they could result in cuts to other essential services. Indeed, these questions are already being asked. England's best performing council in terms of recycling is East Lindsey, but the council's priorities are moving away from increasing its recycling rate towards delivering greater value for money. The acceptance that priorities must change is shared at national level. For example, Philip Ward, the Director for Local Government Services at RAP, emphasised recently the need to achieve more for less. This message seems clear. Future waste management will focus as much, if not more, on affordability and value for money as on the pursuit of ever more demanding targets. Now, this may be no bad thing. I personally believe that the availability of easy finance in previous years has led to some bad choices being made, with sometimes complex and expensive solutions being chosen ahead of simpler and cheaper ones, purely for political reasons. So how can affordability and value for money be achieved in the future, while also securing the best possible environmental outcomes? It will require the right policy and regulatory framework, and this will need to address 4 key issues. The first seems to me to be the need for realism. The Landfill Directive tells us exactly what we have to do. By 2020, we can send to landfill at most 35% of the amount of waste that we were in the mid-1990s. In the last few years, we've made some good progress towards this, largely and rightly by increasing recycling levels. But there are practical, environmental and fiscal limits to how far this can be taken. We need urgently to address the waste that's left over after recycling. Sadly, much of the last decade has been spent in a quest for the Holy Grail in the form of some so-called new and advanced technologies, including pyrolysis, gasification, anaerobic digestion, to name but a few. Such technologies can play a part, but to date they have not been proven on a scale that shows that they can make the difference needed in meeting targets. Ton for ton of waste processed, they still remain expensive. The alternative, of course, is to look to the potential of tried and tested technologies, conventional thermal treatment, or incineration for those who are not too squeamish about labels. It's proven and cost-effective. I'm heartened that in the last couple of years this technology has come more into focus, but we must not let the sustained negativism of some campaign groups to affect the important political judgments that have to be made in the future. The second point relates to achieving scale economies. Research published by DEFRA in 2006 found, unsurprisingly, that for all waste technologies, substantial scale economies could be achieved through the development of larger plants. For energy from waste, the research concluded that the economics of development and operation were optimised at a capacity of around 400,000 tonnes per year or greater. Now, if we try and turn that into numbers, developing a plant with a capacity of 200,000 tonnes and provided on an exclusive basis to meet the needs of a single authority would result in a gate fee of around £100 per tonne, and possibly more in some circumstances. Now, if that plant was sized at 600,000 tonnes, with the same council taking 1/3 of the capacity, the gate fee would be in the region of £50 a tonne. That's a potential saving of £10 million a year for the authority, equivalent to current average salary rates to 320 teachers or 625 care assistants. With future spending constraints putting pressure on jobs, this is more than significant. Obviously, very few waste authorities will need facilities of that scale to handle their residual waste alone. Therefore, in order to create opportunities to develop to the optimum scale, it will be necessary for more authorities to work together through either formal or informal joint working arrangements. It will also be important for future local authority procurements to consider how locally arising commercial and industrial wastes can be accommodated alongside municipal wastes. We need to see schemes conceived on both a wider geographic basis and also as joint municipal and merchant projects. I'm conscious that this does raise some specific issues in the context of waste PFI and public procurements. Obviously, if we're looking at facilities to serve both municipal and merchant needs,